Hey everyone, Alex here. Welcome to another edition of the Bandsaw Life. Now, today I'm here with Carter Products, and we're going to install Carter onto this Jet SFX 14-inch saw. In order to do that, you're going to have to remove a few things, and there are several adjustments that you need to make that will make this work perfectly and easily every time. Obviously, the first thing we need to do is remove the table. Now, I've removed the fence rail just so that it's easier to take on and off, and I don't have the fence in place. But in order to remove this, there are 4 bolts that you need to loosen on the trunnion and take those off. Just remember, when you loosen those back bolts, all that weight wants to come forward, so keep pressure back here so that it won't fall off the front of the saw. All right, now we're going to loosen these bolts. Now, it is just a number 5. Just remember that when you get down to the last bolt, you want to make sure that you keep pressure on the back of this so that the table won't fall forward on you. And we just get that table right out of the way. Now, this saw has the original guides that they came out with, so if you have a different set of guides, just wait for the next video and we'll show you how to take those style guides out and replace those as well. So we're going to do both sets, but this is the original set. You'll want to loosen this one Allen key so that you can take your thrust bearing out. Now, this saw has a lot of adjustments on it that will help you really kind of dial it in. And one of them is when you install the guides and you want to make sure that everything lines up just right, you got to remember that these two are number 8 Allen keys, 16 millimeter bolts, so that you can loosen those and you can move the trunnion around so that you can get the blade not only lined up to where it's right in the center of that insert, but you can also line your guides up, and we'll show you how that's done. Down here, these are just number 5s as well, and the side guides come off. Now, you can choose to leave these Allen screws in here, just tighten them down so that they don't rattle out. Now, the upper guide is also very simple. It takes a number 5. On the inside of the original equipment is a number 5 Allen screw, which we just simply loosen. It also has a number 5 Allen screw in the guides that are attached to the post. So if we loosen both of those up, well, then I can slide the post out the back and take the original guides off the saw. All right, now with this original equipment, you've got the number 5 over here, which loosens your stud, but on the right-hand side, it has 2 number 3 Allen screws, which actually adjust the guide side to side, so that if it doesn't quite line up, you can adjust it that way. But now, we've got all the equipment completely taken off. We're now ready to install the Carter guides. All right, now we're ready to install the new Carter guides on this saw. Now, if you get this kit, it should be a Jet 14 SFX. Your kit comes with a complete upper and the new shaft. It comes with the lower with a square shaft. It also will come with an extra bolt and an Allen screw, which you won't need if you have the original equipment that's already been installed. Version 2, you will need this extra kit. Now, it's got an Allen screw in here which attaches your post. You don't need to remove that, but make sure that your bearing or your thrust bearing is in the lower position and that shaft is pointed out. And all we have to do to install this is just screw that right into the back of that post. We'll push that just about all the way back so that we can put the blade on and then adjust everything to the blade. That should be far enough back. Now, if we take an 1/8 inch, just loosen that shaft, slide that into place, and then just simply drop your upper guide right back into place. That way you don't have to worm it all around the guard there. And don't forget, when you install this guide, especially if you have the original equipment, you may have to notch this out in order to make your guard more accessible. All right, now in order to adjust these guides, make sure that you lower your post so that it's basically 3 to 4 inches from the table. Don't forget to tighten that post up because sometimes it can push the guard forward, so it's always best to have that tightened before you do any adjusting. So we've got all of our bearings loose. We're ready to adjust. All right, now in order to adjust these guides, one of the first things that we want to do is adjust our side guides so that the front edge is just behind the deepest part of the gullet. Remember, your tooth set begins at the gullet, so if you bring the side guides into the gullet, all you're going to do is flatten those teeth out. So we just want to adjust it so that basically the front of those bearings is just behind the deepest part of the gullet. We'll tighten up the number 5. Now, when I tighten this up, what I'm looking for is, number 1, I want to make sure my guides are straight up and down, but the other thing is when I tighten that into place, I want to make sure that the blade is in line with the center of that bearing. And everything looks to be good. If it wasn't, I would just loosen this one, tighten this one if I needed to move it to the left. Obviously do the exact opposite to move it to the right. Then we'll do the same thing down here at the bottom. It's a little bit easier to do because all we have to do is just thread that forward just a little bit. And then there's a small number 3 metric screw that you need to tighten into place. If you don't, those guides can work their way back. So make sure that you tighten that. Now, the next adjustment, if everything is in line, which everything seems to be in line here, so these you can loosen to adjust the lower bearing to make it in line with the blade, but we don't need to do that here because everything seems to line up just fine. The other thing that you can do with this particular adjustment is this can be tightened or loosened so that you can change the angle of the table a little bit. Just be very careful if you change the angle, because if the blade enters at the top of the material instead of the bottom, it will try to roll everything into that blade. But everything seems to be lined up, so we're now ready to adjust our thrust bearings. And the way that we do that is we just simply bring that right up to the back edge of that blade. So what we want to do is make sure that that back thrust bearing isn't turning when we rotate that wheel. But to give you an idea just how close it should be, you can see that's just a little bit too far. Now, you can see that it doesn't rotate or turn when I rotate the blade. But to give you an idea how close it really is, y'all know that can't feel real good on the backs of my fingers, but that's how little of pressure we need to make that thrust bearing turn. Basically as close as you can get without touching. Snug that up. Do the same thing underneath. Now, you'll notice when I rotate the wheel, neither of those thrust bearings are turning, yet when I just put a little pressure with a fingernail right in the center, they both turn. When I rotate the wheel, neither of them turn. Now we need to adjust our side guides and reinstall our table. All right, now the last thing we need to do is adjust these side guides, and the way that that works is basically we want those as close as possible again without that side guide touching or rubbing. So we just simply move that in, just a little close on that inside. Now we've got just a little bit of movement there. Do the same thing at the top. We got a little movement there, a little movement there. We're now set, ready to put our table on. Now, something that you may want to do that makes this a little bit easier is just use your quick release to get the blade out of the way to reinstall the table. Make sure you have these bolts handy because this table is not light. What I do sometimes, if I'm dealing with this by myself, I can get a roller stand just to put up the front here. That way it holds it and keeps it from dropping off. But once you've got one bolt started, you don't have to worry about it falling off. All right, now I've installed the table, but I don't have those bolts tight yet. I want to install the blade so that I can make sure that it's centered right in the middle of that table insert, and then I'll tighten the table up. All right, now we've got our blade reinstalled. We're going to take our table insert and put that into place. It's not quite centered, so that's why I left my table bolts loose so that I could adjust it so that it's perfectly centered. That way when I tilt the table, I'm not hitting my insert, ruining my blade, and it just makes everything work really nice and clean. The other thing that you may want to do at this point is square up your miter slots, and the easy way to do that is to use a set of fasts. By just simply dropping that fast onto the blade, well, now I can measure over to the slot on the back, the slot on the front, and you can see it's out by just a smidge. So we'll make sure that we're still centered. We're dead on in the back, dead on in the front. Now we know our miter slots are squared and our table insert is perfectly set. All right, now I'm going to tighten up these bolts. Now, in order to get to the one on the inside, if you loosen the trunnion up and tilt it, it makes it a lot easier to get to those, to tighten those up. Now we're ready to reinstall our fence and get set up, but today we're going to show you a little bit easier fence to use if you don't have your assembly installed, and that is the Carter mag fence. All right, now that I've got everything squared up and installed, now instead of installing the factory fence back into place, I'm going to show you the Carter mag fence, which is just real simple to install and square up to the body of the blade. All right, now the Carter mag fence is really handy, easy to install and set up. Has mag switches, which basically when you turn that, it locks it into place. When you reverse it, it cancels the magnets out so that you don't have to try to pry it up off the table or move it. All right, now we're going to install and square our fence. But how do you know that you're square to the body of the blade? The easiest way is with the fast. And the way that this works is it has a magnet to attach to the body of the blade, a groove for the offset of the teeth, so that we can just simply drop that right into place. And then we can take a second one and just measure over from the back and the front. We know we're square, and we're basically, I've set it up for 1 inch away. But we're going to actually set this up for about 1/8 of an inch of a cut. And we'll show you what a Carter blade and guides can do for you. All right, now I've got a nice piece of 8-inch ambrosia maple here. It's got just a little bit of ambrosia in it. I'm going to set this for 8-inch cut. Make sure that we've got good clearance. Safety first. Turn our dust collector on. About as dead accurate as you can get. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more Bandsaw Life content.